Namaste. I welcome you all to this video lecture. I am G. Swapna, working as lecturer in Botany, SRR and CVR Government Degree College, Autonomous, Vijayawada. This video lecture is about the general characteristics of pteridophytes. Let us learn about the origin and distribution of pteridophytes before learning the general characters. The word pteridophyta, it is originated from the Greek language. In Greek, pteron means feather and phyton means plants. The pteridophytic plants, majority of the plants, they are having feather-like leaves which are known as the fronds. Coming to the history of the pteridophytes have a long fossil history and they were known from 380 million years. And the fossils of the pteridophytes, they have been obtained from the Silurian period of Paleozoic era. This era is also called as the age of pteridophyta, especially the Silurian period of Paleozoic era. It is termed as the age of pteridophyta. Pteridophytes were very much dominant during Devonian and Permian periods. And coming to the position, pteridophytes occupy an intermediary position between bryophytes and spermatophytes. Spermatophytes means the group of plants which can produce the seeds. So Carolus Linnaeus, he classified pteridophytes and kept them under the group cryptogams along with algae, fungi and bryophytes. So all these categories of plants, they don't produce flowers and seeds. Among cryptogams, pteridophytes are considered as the advanced plants. And let us know something about the habitat and life forms of pteridophyta. Here you can see some genera of pteridophytes. So few are aquatic, few are xerophytic and few are epiphytic. So in this slide, the first image, it is the azolla, which is an aquatic form. And the next one is Selaginella rupestris. This is a xerophytic plant. And then Equisetum orvens, the third one, it is also a xerophyte. And then in the next row, the first one, it is the Lycopodium phlegmaria, you can see, which is an epiphyte. So epiphyte means the plant which grows on the surface of the other plant and it obtains moisture and nutrients from the environment of the host plant. So that next one is the fern, you can see, the name is Polypodium, and the last image is the Cyathea, that is the tree form. So in pteridophytes, herbs will be there, shrubs and tree forms will be there. And then the habitat is also varies. Some are epiphytes, some are xerophytes and some are aquatic in nature. And let us know something more about the habitat and the life forms in Pteridophyta. Pteridophytes are the first land plants, first terrestrial plants, and they have well-developed vascular system. Generally, all the pteridophytic plants, they grow in cool and shady places. And some are aquatic like Marsilia, Azolla. For example, Marsilia and Azolla, which we have seen in the previous slide. And then few species are xerophytic like Selaginella rupestris and Marsilia rajasthanensis, Equisetum arvens. And few genera are epiphytic in nature also. For example, Selaginella oregana and Lycopodium phlegmaria. So these are epiphytic. And now the fossil pteridophytes. If we see the fossil pteridophytes, they were herbaceous and arborescent forms. And both herbaceous, soft plants and also woody plants were present in the fossil pteridophytes. So during ancient periods, tree ferns, giant horsetails and arborescent lycopods, they dominated the ancient periods and they used to live in the swampy landscapes. Current lycopods and ferns, they also resemble the fossil genera like Lepidodendron and also the arborescent lycopods. And coming to the pteridophytic nature, so the nature varies. Few are herbs, few are shrubs, and few are trees. So herbaceous annuals, for example, Azolla and Salvinia. So they are annual plants. They complete their life history in 1 year and they are in herb form. And some are perennial and tree form like Cyathea. So majority of the pteridophytic plants are herbaceous. Let us learn something more about the plant body. As the pteridophytes are the first true land plants, they are also the flowerless plants and the seedless plants, and mostly the pteridophytic plants are herbs and they are branched also. Pteridophytes have well-developed vascular system with xylem and phloem. So in the xylem, vessels are absent and in the phloem, companion cells are absent. So this is a specific feature of the vascular system of pteridophytes. So major plant body in the pteridophytes, it is known as the sporophyte, which is independent and it is having true roots, shoots and leaves. And in few pteridophytic groups, primitive groups like Xylophytalis and Xylotalis, for example, Rhinia and Xylotum, true roots and leaves are absent. You can see the image of the xylotum, so in which the true leaves are absent and true roots are absent. But generally, in pteridophytic plants, that is in the sporophytic stage, the plant body consisting of the true roots, shoots and leaves. And in this slide, you can see the root and stem. So let us know something more about the root and stem of the pteridophytes. In the embryonic stages of the pteridophytes, the roots are epimeral. Epimeral means temporary, and during the growth, they were being replaced by the adventitious roots, which will be permanent. And coming to the stem is an underground rhizome. Rhizome, which we all know, it is a stem modification of the stem. The growth will be transverse and the stem will be divided into nodes and internodes, which we all know. And this stem will be generally branched. And that branching either will be in dichotomous manner or in monopodial manner. So in this way, the root and stem will be seen in the pteridophytes, and which you can see here in this slide also. And now let us see something about the leaves. In pteridophytes, two types of leaves are present. So that is why this is known as the dimorphism. Two types of leaves found in pteridophytes. One is microphylls and second one is megaphylls. So these words are self-explanatory. Microphylls means micro means minute or small sized. Phyll means leaf. So here these microphylls are small and minute sized simple leaves with a single midvein which is also unbranched. And here the leaf gap is completely absent. Example for the microphylls, we can see the microphylls types of leaves in Lycopodium and Selaginella species. And coming to the megaphylls, again the name is self-explanatory. Mega means large sized leaves. So here we can see the large sized leaves and the compound leaves with many more veins. And here the leaf gap is also present. So these type of leaves we can observe in Marsilia and Meratia and Teres also. So in ferns, the young leaves, the leaves when are during the young stage, they will be curled inwards and this process can be termed as cercinate vernation. So in ferns, the leaf surface and the stem surface that will be covered with hairy outgrowths which are known as the filiform trichomes. And now let us know about the vascular tissue in the pteridophytes. So in pteridophytes, we already know that pteridophytes have a well-developed vascular system consisting of both xylem and phloem. So cambium is generally absent in pteridophytes, and because of the absence of cambium, secondary growth is also completely absent in pteridophytes. Uh, uh, Except in few cases like in Lepidodendron and Calamatis, you can see the secondary growth. But generally in pteridophytes, secondary growth is absent. So coming to the stele of the pteridophytes, so various forms of steles we can see in pteridophytic genera, like protostele in Xylotum, Lycopodium and Selaginella. Protostele, we all know that it is a basic kind of primitive type of the stele in which xylem is surrounded by phloem, medulla is absent. And the next type of stele, siphonostele, is also seen in pteridophytic genera like Equisetum, Marsilia. So in siphonostele, medulla will be present, that is surrounded by the xylem and phloem. And the third type of stele is dictyostele, which we can see in few of the pteridophytic genera like Pteris and Polypodium. And dictyostele means the stele will be dissected into patches. And the polycyclic type of the stele, where the vascular bundles are arranged in many whorls, that can be seen in Meratia type of the pteridophytes. So many forms of steles we can see in the pteridophytic genera. Now let us see something about the reproduction. So coming into the reproduction, sporophyte, it is the primary stage of the pteridophytic plants. So it is independent stage, it is the primary stage, and this sporophyte develops from the germination of the diploid zygote. Generally, reproduction happens in pteridophytes by haploid spores. These spores develop in special sac-like structures known as sporangia. So sporangia, they are produced on the special leaves. They are known as the sporophylls. The tips of the sporophylls will be curled generally. So here, reproduction in general happens by spores. Spores will be present. So they develop in the sporangia, and these sporangia, which are the sac-like structures, generally present on the ventral side of the specialized leaves, which are known as the sporophylls. And coming to the position of the sporophylls and how they are arranged, so let us see something about that. So in Lycopodium selago, sporophylls mean the leaves which are bearing sporangia. So they will be seen scattered in Lycopodium species. And in Pteris and Ediantum, these two are the ferns. So in these, the sporophylls will be uniformly distributed. And in some genera like Selaginella and Equisetum, the sporophylls are grouped together to form the strobili or cones. So in aquatic forms like Azolla, Salvinia, Marsilia, sporangia, they are seen within a specialized sac-like structures. They are known as the sporocarps. So in this slide, you can observe the Marsilia sporocarp means the sporocarp, a body, a fruiting body-like structure in which the sporangia are present. So you can see the cones in the equisetum and also the Lycopodium sporophylls arrangement. And the last image is about the fern sorus. Sorus means it's a group of sporangia. So they are sporangia aggregated together to form a cluster. So that is known as the sorus. And these sori are generally present on the ventral side of the sporophylls. So all these four kinds of sporangia you can see in these images. And coming into the development of sporangia. So development of sporangia happens in pteridophytes in two ways. One is the eusporangiate manner and another one is a leptosporangiate manner. In eusporangiate manner, sporangia development, that is sporangia develops from group of initials. Example, Lycopodium and Selaginella. In leptosporangiate type of development, sporangia develops from a single cell. Example, Salvinia and Pteris. So in some ferns, sporangia are grouped together to form a cluster which is known as the sorus, which we have already seen in the previous slide. So based on the development of sporangia, it is of leptosporangiate and eusporangiate. Let us learn something more about the sporangia. So like the position of the sporangia. So based on the position of the sporangia also, uh, we can term the sporangia as colline or foliar. Some sporangia are directly borne on the stem. They are known as the colline sporangia. Example, Xylotum and Rhinia. So these colline sporangia, that means the sporangia which are borne on the stem, they may be terminal in position like in Rhinia or in lateral position like in Lycopodium. So sometimes sporangia are borne on the leaves or in the axils of the leaves also like in Glossopodium. Then we can term the sporangia as foliar sporangia. So sometimes these sporangia which are borne in groups, they actually cluster in groups and form the sori on the ventral surface of the fern leaves, which we have seen in the previous slide also. The sporophylls ventral surface means the sori are present on the ventral surface of the sporophylls. Sporophylls means the specialized leaves which can bear the sporangia. So these cluster of the sporangia, sometimes they can form compact structure known as the cones or strobili. So now let us learn about the homospory and heterospory concepts which we can see in the Pteridophyta. So here the words are self-explanatory again. Homo means same. So same type of spores, and heterospory means different kinds of spores. So generally homosporous species are monoecious, means they are bisexual, and both the sex organs like Antheridia and Archegonia, they are born on the same thallus. While in heterosporous means the species which can produce two kinds of spores, so they are mostly dioecious, means unisexual, means male and female plants will be separate. So in the Pteridophyta life cycle, two stages are present, sporophyte and gametophyte. So sporophyte is the dominant stage and whereas independent also, whereas the gametophyte is also the independent stage. And in the sporophyte, which is a dominant and this is the longest phase, the spores are produced by the spore mother cells through meiosis. So here the homospory and heterospory, when we consider these processes, few species of the uh, pteridophytes are homosporous, producing the same kind of spores. For example, Lycopodium. And you can see in the image also the sporangium, and also inside the sporangium you can see the spores. So Selaginella produces two kinds of spores like microspores and megaspores. So two different kinds of spores, and this process is known as the heterospory. So pteridophytic genera, few of the genera shows homospory and few genera shows heterospory. So homosporous species are monoecious, that is the bisexual, and heterosporous species are dioecious. And this one is the gametophytic stage of the pteridophytes. So gametophyte, it is also known as the prothallus. So haploid spore germinates and gives rise to the gametophyte. Under favorable conditions, the spore germinates and gives rise to the gametophyte. So microspore germinates and gives rise to the male gametophyte, and megaspore germinates and gives rise to the female gametophyte. So these gametophytes coming into the structure, they are multicellular, they are photosynthetic organs, and they have multicellular sex organs like antheridia and archegonia. Generally, gametophytes grow in cool and moist shady areas. So the male sex organ is antheridia and it produces the male gametes which are known as the antherozoids, and these male gametes are unicellular and they are spirally coiled and they are having flagella. Female sex organ is known as the archegonium and it is having two parts. The upper part is known as the neck part and the lower part is known as the venter part. So generally the neck will be projected and can be seen superficially, or sometimes it is embedded in the thallus. And coming to the fertilization and the important genera of the pteridophytes. So for the process of fertilization, water is very essential, and the antherozoids, which are unicellular and which are having flagella, they swim and they will be attracted towards the archegonium because archegonium secretes some chemicals, and the antherozoid swims towards the archegonium and fuses with the egg, and thereby the diploid zygote or oospore will be formed. So later the zygote will develop into multicellular sporophyte. So here in the life cycle of the pteridophyta, gametophyte and sporophytes alternates. So these are some of the examples of the pteridophytic plants you can see in the slide. Lycopodium, which is common name club moss. Selaginella, it is a spike moss. Isoitis, quillworts. And Equisetum, it is commonly known as the horsetails. And some of the ferns like Dryopteris, Marsilia, whisk fern, Dixonia, Adiantum, moon fern, silver fern. These are all the examples of the pteridophytic plants. So coming to the concept of the alternation of generations. So here in the life cycle of the pteridophytes, there is an alternation of generation. Diploid sporophyte alternates with the haploid gametophyte. So sporophyte is the diploid and the dominant generation and the longest phase. It produces the spores. So gametophyte is the haploid generation. It produces the gametes. So here both the sporophyte and the gametophyte both are independent and free living. So this is known as the alternation of generations, and also it is known as the metagenesis. And these special type of concepts can be seen in the group Pteridophyta, apogamy and apospory. So here the alternation of the gametophyte and the sporophyte, so they can be deviated by the process of apogamy and apospory. Apogamy, it was discovered by Farlow in 1874 in Pteris critica, and later it was reported in Pteridium, Adiantum, Osmunda like ferns. So apogamy means development of sporophyte directly from the gametophyte without the fusion of the gametes. So that process is known as apogamy. And apospory means development of gametophyte from the vegetative cells of the sporophyte without mitotic division. So this apospory was discovered by Drury in 1884 in Atherium genera. So later it was reported in Pteridium, Asplenium, Osmunda like ferns. And pteridophytes have are economically important also. So Terrace rhizome, fern leaf tips, marsilia leaves, all these were used as food in different parts of the world. And dry fronds of many ferns and marsilia leaves are used as fodder. And medicinally, lycopodium spores are used for they are used as water repellents and for skin allergies. And lycopodium leaves are used in the preparation of tincture, powder, ointment, creams will be prepared from those. And they will cure the stomachache, kidney problems, diarrhea, and eczema, rheumatism, constipation, and liver problems also. And the flavonoids and saponins in equisetum, they cure the they act as the diuretic and tissue strengthening and anti-arthritic problems. And the rhizome and frond base oils of Aspidium, Dryopteris, and ferns can be used as the vermifuge, which can kill the worms. And decoction of Asplenium used in treating cough, and that is used as the hair wash also. And expectorant of Polypodium, it is used as the mild laxative, and it is used in curing hepatic problems and appetite. And the root decoction of Osmunda regalis and Ophioglossum, it is used in treating jaundice and wound healing. And marsilin, a drug from Marsilia, it is used as the anti-sedative and anti-convulsant also. And many of the pteridophytic species are horticultural plants like Lycopodium phlegmaria, Xylotum, Asplenium, and Lycopodium lucidulum, Selaginella species, all these. And then Azolla, it is a green manure. It is a biofertilizer, especially that is used for the rice crops as a biofertilizer. And some of the pteridophytic plants are indicator plants like Equisetum, it is an indicator for gold, and Asplenium, which is an indicator for nickel, and Actinopteris, which is an indicator for cobalt. And the equisetum stems are used for polishing and cleaning process, and roots and stems are used for orchid growth also. And Lycopodium clavatum, it is used for dyeing the clothes. And Lycopodium powder, it is used in pyrotechny and artificial lighting processes. And Pteridium, it is a carcinogenic plant which treats cancer to some extent. And Salvinia, it is an aquatic plant which prevents the flow of water. So thank you.